They cross the line because they believe you will not enforce it. They test you because they sense weakness. That is the nature of people. They push, they probe, they calculate. And if you hesitate even once, you give them the map of your soul. From that moment, you are no longer the master of yourself. You become a man on lease. Mercy without power is suicide. Respect is not given. It is built and engineered. Machiavelli knew this. The throne is not protected by hope or goodwill, but by the cold edge of discipline. You do not win by shouting. You do not win by explaining. You win by freezing the room with silence. You win by making one decision that cuts deeper than 1,000 words. When they disrespect you, they are not simply mocking you. They are measuring you. They are testing the gap between your words and your actions. If they find a gap, they own you. So you must become ice. Ice that burns. Silence that suffocates. A presence so cold that others lower their voices without you saying a word. This is not anger. This is not revenge. This is strategy. You are not emotional. You are absolute. The line is law. And the law does not tremble. Remember this. A man without cold boundaries is already conquered. Say it and believe it. I am untouchable. I am the line. They crossed the line because they thought you would not enforce it. That was their mistake. And your silence until now has been your weakness. But today that weakness ends. Today you learn a law colder than steel. Machiavelli said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Why? Because fear respects boundaries. Love alone does not. People never test you by accident. They test you because power is always being negotiated. Every insult, every act of disrespect, every betrayal, it is not just an attack, it is a probe. They are searching for your hesitation, your breaking point, the place where your words stop and your spine bends. Once they find it, you belong to them. The law is simple. Never let them think the line is negotiable. That is why your response must be colder than ice. Not anger, not emotion. Emotion reveals weakness. Coldness terrifies because it has no heartbeat. When you respond without heat, you show them something rare. Control. Here is your weapon. I do not argue. I adjust access. One sentence. Calm, sharp, final. No debate, no explanation, no defense. You remove what they value, your time, your attention, your presence. That punishment cuts deeper than rage ever could. Machiavelli taught that a ruler must be both lion and fox. The lion enforces with strength. The fox withdraws with cunning. Together they form a strategy no one can escape. That is who you must become. Write it. Repeat it. Live it. I do not argue. I adjust access. Because the moment you master this, you stop bleeding power. You become untouchable. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not retreat. Silence is a blade sharper than speech. Many men fear using it. They feel the need to defend, to explain, to shout. But Machiavelli understood. The moment you explain, you admit the other has the right to question you. The moment you argue, you step into their frame. And once you do, you have already lost. Silence is not empty. Silence is pressure. It creates unease, discomfort, paranoia. People cannot sit comfortably in silence. They begin to talk, to justify, to expose their own weakness. You remain calm, still, like an executioner who has not yet raised his hand. This is why silence terrifies. It changes the power dynamic instantly. They begin to wonder, what is he thinking? What will he do? Did I go too far? And in that uncertainty, they collapse. Think of Machiavelli's fox. The fox does not bark. It waits. It observes. It lets the enemy walk into the trap. Your silence is that trap. It is the invisible rope around their throat. The rule is simple. When disrespected, do not rush to respond. Let silence fall like frost. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5. Hold their eyes if you must, but do not speak. Let them drown in their mistake. In silence, they feel your law. They realize their error without you saying anything. And when you finally speak, your words fall like hammers. Short, deliberate, final. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must be both feared and respected. Nothing commands both like controlled silence. Fear comes from unpredictability. Respect comes from discipline. Silence brings both. It proves you are not a slave to impulse. You decide when and how reality moves. Do you want power? Follow these rules. First, when insulted, say nothing. Let silence be your answer. Second, if you must speak, use fewer than 7 words. Cold, sharp, final. Say, not acceptable, that ends here. Third, withdraw. Cut the conversation. Adjust access. Let them sit in the echo of their own disrespect. That silence will punish them more than rage ever could. This is not weakness, it is strategy. While they shout, you conserve energy. While they burn, you grow colder. And when you finally act, it is decisive. Burn this into your mind. Silence is not absence. Silence is dominance. Silence is control without effort. Say it and believe it. My silence is power. You do not chase respect. You command it, not through noise, not through emotion, but through silence. Learn this, and they will never forget the weight of your silence. Power is not only in words or actions, power is also in what people expect from you before you even move. That expectation, shaped and enforced, becomes your aura. Machiavelli understood this. A ruler is not respected because he speaks loudly, but because the air around him warns, do not cross the line. If your boundaries appear only after someone disrespects you, you are already too late. A true man of power carries his standards like armor. People sense them in your posture, your tone, your silence. They never wonder if you will tolerate disrespect. They already know the answer. This is Machiavelli's law. Make your boundaries visible without announcing them. When a man keeps explaining his limits, it means no one believes him. But when your aura is cold, steady, and firm, no one dares test you. Why? Because they can feel the consequences. Think of a fortress. The strongest castles did not need daily battles. Their very presence, the walls, the gates, the guards, was enough to keep enemies away. Your aura is that fortress. It says, cross me, and you lose access to the kingdom I built. How do you create this aura? First, precision in standards. Decide once what you accept and what you reject. Never bend. Second, consistency. Enforce the same rule every time, with everyone. Friend, family, or stranger. Consistency builds reputation. Third, minimal words, maximum enforcement. Do not warn, do not explain. Act. Let people learn your rules through consequences, not speeches. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand." People see how you carry yourself before they ever face your enforcement. That is why your aura must radiate control. It teaches them what will happen if they test you. Here is the deeper truth. People respect what they fear losing. When you enforce boundaries, you teach them the value of access to you. You become rare. You become expensive. Scarcity builds respect faster than generosity ever could. Say it, my boundaries are law. Once your aura is set, you no longer need to defend yourself. Your presence defends you. Your silence enforces you. Those who cross the line will feel the cost before you even move. Machiavelli also said, injuries should be done all at once, so they offend less. Benefits should be given little by little, so they are enjoyed more. This is not cruelty, it is strategy. If someone crosses the line and you let them pass, you declare weakness. If you punish with emotion, you declare instability. But if you punish coldly and decisively, you declare law. People do not remember speeches. They remember the day they touched the fire and burned. Punishment is not to release anger, but to engrave memory. And punishment must be calculated. You punish to teach. You punish once, enough to make them never try again. There are 3 rules: speed, precision, and finality. Speed, because delay kills authority. Precision, because too much looks desperate, too little looks weak. Finality, because dragging it out shows emotion. One move, cold and clean, then silence. That silence punishes more than words ever can. A king who must punish does it swiftly and moves on. He does not rant, he does not explain. The act itself speaks louder than his words. That is modern power, not rage, but exclusion, indifference, and the removal of value. Nothing cuts deeper than showing someone they are no longer relevant in your world. That is punishment they will never forget. And here is the hidden benefit. Punishment strengthens your aura. When others see you enforce without hesitation, they adjust themselves. The lesson spreads. Fear does the work for you. Say it. I punish once, I punish cold. That is the creed of power. That is how you command respect without endless fights. Machiavelli warned rulers not to rely on constant presence. Overexposure weakens authority. If you are always available, always present, your value fades. But when you withdraw on your own terms, you turn absence into a weapon. You turn distance into dominance. Absence is not a retreat. Absence is strategy. To disappear is to force the world to feel life without you. Most men fear being forgotten, but that fear is weakness. The powerful know the truth. Scarcity creates value. Think of fire. If it burns endlessly, people stop noticing its warmth. But when it vanishes, the cold rushes in. Only then do they realize what they lost. Your absence is that cold. It creates a void, and in that void, respect grows. There are 3 kinds of absence. First, sudden withdrawal. When disrespected, vanish completely. No warnings, no speeches, just disappear. The silence becomes unbearable, and they are left with guilt. Second, calculated gaps. Even with allies and friends, create space. Disappear long enough for them to feel your absence, then return sharper and stronger. Every return becomes an event. Third, permanent absence. When a boundary is broken beyond repair, leave forever. No second chances. That absence becomes the ultimate punishment. It tells them, you are no longer part of my world. Machiavelli said rulers must be both loved and feared. Absence combines both. It creates fear of losing you again and gratitude when you return. That duality is power. That duality makes you unforgettable. Never explain your disappearance. Let them invent stories. Let them wonder why you left and what you are planning. That mystery keeps your presence alive longer than exposure ever could. Say it, my absence is my power. Once you accept this, you stop begging for attention. You start commanding it. The world always wants what it cannot have. Your absence proves your worth more than words ever can. This is the Machiavellian art of vanishing. Cold, strategic, unforgettable. Machiavelli's law is harsh but eternal. It is safer to be feared than loved. Love is built on emotions that shift like sand. Fear is built on memory, and memory lasts. When people fear crossing you, they regulate themselves. You do not chase respect. You do not beg for loyalty. Fear does the work for you. But fear has 2 forms. Chaotic fear creates rebellion. Engineered fear creates obedience. Weak men try to scare with shouting or threats. Strong men terrify with calm inevitability. Their enemies know that crossing them means loss, not because they scream, but because they do not need to. Fear is built on 3 pillars: consistency, unpredictability, and consequence. Boundaries must be law. Every violation must be enforced without exception. This consistency makes them think twice before testing you. Yet while your law is consistent, your methods must be unpredictable. Sometimes you withdraw, sometimes you cut access, sometimes you punish openly. This keeps them unbalanced, never knowing what comes next. And finally, fear needs consequence. Words do not build fear, costs do. Remove privileges, remove access, remove trust. These cuts burn into memory. And memory is where fear lives. Machiavelli compared rulers to lions and foxes. The lion creates fear with strength. The fox creates fear with cunning. To master power, you must be both. The lion shows that no one can doubt your ability to strike. The fox ensures they never see the strike coming. Together, they create an aura where people regulate themselves before you even act. Engineered fear is quiet. You do not announce it. You do not brag about it. It builds itself through the weight of your past actions. People will whisper about you. They will exaggerate your reactions. They will warn others not to cross you. That whisper network becomes your shield. Understand this. Fear makes people remember you longer than kindness ever will. A gift is forgotten in weeks. A punishment is remembered for years. But when engineered properly, fear does not turn into hatred. It turns into respect wrapped in caution. Say this, my fear commands respect. Once you master this law, you will not need to raise your voice. Your aura will do the speaking for you. Power dies the moment you allow everyone to touch it. Familiarity destroys respect. Overexposure kills authority. Machiavelli taught that a ruler must never appear too common or too ordinary. A leader who blends with the crowd becomes part of it, and the crowd never bows to itself. Distance is not weakness. Distance is elevation. It creates an invisible shield between you and the world. That shield forces others to look up instead of across. That distance is where respect is born. Psychological distance means you are present but never fully available. People can see you, but they cannot easily reach you. They can hear you, but they cannot fully read you. You belong to no one, yet everyone feels your weight. There are 3 ways to enforce psychological distance. First is rarity of access. Do not be everywhere. Do not answer every call, every message, every request. Scarcity creates value. The more they see you, the more ordinary you appear. The less they see you, the more legendary you become. Second is controlled disclosure. Never reveal everything. Keep parts of your mind, your plans, your emotions locked away. Mystery pulls respect from those who cannot read you. Show only what strengthens your image. Hide the rest. Third is measured presence. When you do appear, make it deliberate. Every move calculated, every word chosen. People learn that when you show up, it matters. When you leave, they feel the cold gap you create. Think of kings and generals. They did not walk among the crowd daily. Their distance was their crown. It made their words echo louder. Their silence hit harder. Their presence commanded more respect. The same applies to you. If you want to hold power in modern life, you cannot be just another face in the crowd. You must be the one who stands apart. Here lies the paradox. Distance creates closeness. When people cannot have you, they crave you. When they cannot predict you, they respect you. When they cannot touch you, they fear losing what little of you they already have. That is psychological distance. It bends minds without effort. Say this: my distance is my shield. Because when you enforce psychological distance, you stop bleeding energy into everyone. You stop being ordinary. You start being untouchable. Machiavelli taught that appearances are stronger than reality because most people do not search for truth. They accept the surface. A ruler's survival depends less on what he truly is and more on what people believe him to be. This is the law of reputation. If you ignore it, you will spend your life explaining yourself to people who have already decided you are weak. Reputation is power you do not need to carry. It walks ahead of you. It clears paths. It silences opposition. It bends respect before you even enter the room. The powerful understand this. You do not fight every battle. You let your name fight for you. But reputation is never built by chance. It is engineered. Every move, every silence, every punishment, every boundary you enforce, these become bricks in the fortress of your image. A strong reputation becomes more feared than your presence itself. There are 3 laws of Machiavellian reputation. First, choose your image. Decide what you want to be known for. Discipline, precision, control, coldness. Do not scatter signals. The world remembers patterns, not chaos. Second, guard it ruthlessly. Your reputation is more valuable than money. If someone attacks it, you cannot sit silent. If disrespected, enforce your law. If slandered, counter with results so sharp that the lie looks weak. Guard your name like a crown because it is one. Third, feed the whisper network. The most powerful reputations are not shouted. They are whispered. People must speak of your silence, your coldness, your punishments, your distance. Let others tell the story you designed. Think of Caesar or Alexander. Their names traveled ahead of their armies. Their enemies feared them long before battle. That is true power, winning without lifting a sword, because your reputation has already conquered the field. A strong reputation saves energy. When people expect strength from you, they behave carefully. They hesitate before challenging. They lower their voice before speaking. They regulate themselves. That is power without effort. But remember, a weak reputation destroys you before you even move. If people believe you are soft or unstable, you are finished before you begin. So decide now. What will they whisper about you when you leave the room? What story will follow your name when you are not there? Say this: my name is my weapon. Once your reputation is engineered cold and sharp, it will command fear and respect without you lifting a finger. Machiavelli also warned rulers never to reveal the full weight of their power. Power that looks too obvious becomes resented. Power that hides behind the curtain becomes permanent. This is the law of invisible control, the art of guiding others without them realizing it. People resist force, but they accept guidance when they think it was their own choice. The greatest rulers shaped decisions quietly. They planted seeds, they set the frame, and men walked into obedience willingly. Never argue inside someone else's frame. Redefine the conversation before it begins. The first voice to set the context often wins. Instead of commanding, present choices, both of which lead to your desired outcome. They think they chose freely, but you controlled the path. This is invisible control. Think of the puppet master. The strings are thin, invisible from a distance. The puppet believes it moves freely, but the master decides every step. That is invisible control. The less they see your hand, the longer they obey. People hate open domination, but they crave guidance. Invisible control makes you look less like a tyrant and more like a necessity. They will even thank you for it. Say this: I move the strings unseen. Once you master invisible control, your power becomes untouchable. They will resist shadows while bowing to your silence.